And this year has really been, you know, show after show, an exhibition of those relationships, whether it was the US Open, where we won the Emmy for it, but this last year we covered both courts. We had 14 cameras. We had cameras right at the nets. We had cameras for coverage. We applied more technology to telling the story of the competition. And it culminated with a 35 camera shoot, which was a true 5D production in collaboration with ESPN. In my opinion, the most incredible visual experience, because if you want to see a hook shot, there's only one way to do it, and that's in 3D.
Yeah, I mean, I think partnerships are what it's all about. You know, in a few different ways. I think the 3D practitioners, you know, over the last few years have really, in general, and I think we were guilty of this at one point a few years ago as well, done themselves a disservice by making 3D mysterious, and by trying to cling to essentially a job and a revenue stream by saying, well, you don't really know what you're doing. You need us to be the gatekeepers of 3D production. And I think that was really off-putting to people that had been doing their jobs very, very well for 10 or 20 or 30 years. And you know, Vince and I kept looking at each other like, why don't they trust us? Why isn't this taking off? Why isn't everybody doing 3D? We constantly demonstrate how great it looks, and the audience constantly reaffirms how much they love it. Why isn't it taking off? And we realized that there was a disconnect at the point at which people were deciding to move into producing content. You know, Vince and I have always said, you know, we're going to be producers of content. That turns out to be a very, very small part of what CPG is all about. Yes, we'll pick certain projects that we personally love to get more involved in on a producing level as producing partners, like the Cirque du Soleil project being an example. But we can't, just the two of us, produce enough content to move the needle at all in terms of broadcast. We need to enable the others out there who are doing it day in and day out, who have the shows, who have the sports licenses, who are doing this stuff already. We need to enable them. And we realized that there was a disconnect, that the message that was coming out of the 3D community was, you don't know what you're doing, you therefore need us. And the message that Vince and I have been really putting out for the last year and standing behind in terms of the way we develop our technology and our methodologies is, you know exactly what you're doing. We will stand behind you and enable what you want. You tell us what you want, we're going to overlay our technology and our workflow to your traditional method, the way you've done it, what you know, your camera operators, exactly the way you would normally switch it. We're not going to say that it's mysterious and it's a whole new ball game. I think that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake people made. You know, the funny thing is that when I was making Avatar, I wasn't shooting it for 3D, because I knew that a lot of people were going to see it in 2D, and I knew that it was going to have a huge life in video in 2D, because 3D Blu-ray wasn't even there yet at the point that Avatar was released on home video. And Avatar went on to become the highest selling video title of the year, the highest selling Blu-ray, 2D Blu-ray in history. You don't have a kind of a video hit like that if it's not working as a 2D movie. So we were already doing 5D production. We just didn't call it that. You know, we weren't doing anything really special for the 3D. We were just doing really good, high quality 3D within normal narrative framework, normal cutting rhythm, normal kinds of camera compositions. And that's why 3D can be applied as an overlay without breaking your flow. You know, we're going to talk later about the idea of a zero delta approach. We're going to try to minimize almost to zero or to zero the difference that you're going to have to pay and the difference in the way that you're going to work. And I think that's the only way that we're going to break this logjam of content and get the content flowing. And you get the content flowing, and the delivery methods and the display at the end user is all going to take care of itself. You know, that was the attitude that we took when we had to break the chicken and egg cycle for movies, which we were successful in doing. People just went out there and started making the films, myself included. And guess what? the delivery system took care of itself once there was something to talk about.
Nothing that you'll see in this reel that we couldn't shoot live for you to present into your homes this same experience. So I think it'd be a great time to run that clip.
Sure, let's run the Cirque du Soleil clip. So much fun to shoot. We both got to run away and join the circus. Right here in Vegas, we had a blast shooting it, and it's just so magical. But we should point out the production parameters on this. We had 18 cameras. We were Steadicam, jibs, techno cranes, up in the rafters, handheld, even underwater, and the pace was relentless because, God bless them, the Cirque guys are on a roll. O, for example, sells out 99% every single night and has for 14 years. And Andrew Adamson was the director. I was producer and camera operator.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is exactly where I love to be. As long as I can operate camera, I'm happy.
No, it was a great project, but I think what we're really trying to embrace is the fact that this medium that we're supporting and the vision of that medium is to extend and be inclusive of all of these products. I think sometimes we hone it down to what some people consider the low-hanging fruit, and that's not what this medium is about. It really is. It enhances all forms of entertainment. If it's captivating to you in 2D, wait till you see it in 3D. And it really is a strong message from us that all forms of entertainment are inclusive of this goal. We understand that the challenges are varied, that some projects are easier to shoot than others, but we're committed to equality, if you will, with the number of cameras, the ability of a director to tell the story from the different camera angles, the way we approach production. Our vision is that we're equal in that effort, and then we elevate the results. And I think that, that's an important statement to be made because, just pure visuals fall apart after a while. The gimmicky effect really doesn't play well in the storytelling process. And so as a company, our vision is that we would provide the tools that allow production to deliver these type of results as if they're shooting it in 2D.
They need 22 cameras, it's 22 cameras. If they need those positions, it's those positions. There can't be a compromise. Just like there can't be a compromise in the quality of the 3D image that goes out. We can't be hurting people's eyes. We can't be out of sync. We can't have foreground objects that are so close that they can't be fused and they get in the way. And so, just like we have to build into our technology the smarts, the intelligence, and the downstream processing so that those images are not hurtful, that it's always value added, we also have to step up and meet every single position, every single thing that is the traditional approach. So when Vince is talking about traditional, and we're using a lot of untraditional technology to meet a traditional production paradigm, because that's what people recognize. And we find out that the people that are willing to partner with us and embrace 3D and take those chances, such as ESPN and CBS, that we have to meet that challenge that they throw out to us.
So we're always looking for those opportunities where we could bridge the gap. We could use technology as an aid to still tap into the expertise of the production, and that starts with the director, that starts with the producers, that starts also with the cost model. All of those factors have to be bridged in order to make this successful, and profitability is based on that success. And
right.
So that's where we plan ourselves with it.
Well, look, I mean, people who are out there, broadcasting whatever it is, whatever sport it is, they know it and they're profitable at it. They know how to do it. So when 3D sort of reared its ugly head, it's like, well, it's okay if we do 3D as long as we do it over there and it doesn't impact in any way our machine that's on a roll, that's been doing it year after year. I don't want my guys messed with. I don't want my camera positions messed with. I don't want my truck messed with. But you're welcome to do 3D. Well, how's that going to work, right? So now you're not in the right positions. You can't follow the action. You've got guys who are inexperienced operators who know 3D. They know the 3D cameras. They don't necessarily know the sport. And that's how a lot of these early experiments kind of went. Plus, the delta was huge because you had 100% of the main production unit and another production unit. And the other production unit, well, nobody was going to spend the same amount they were already spending, doubling it. So it wound up smaller, less experienced, out of position. There was no way it was going to work. It was, you know, it was shot in both legs before they even tried. And so then it all felt compromised and expensive. Okay, and I think the industry kind of recoiled from that. You know, and it's also is very difficult for Vince and I to meet that kind of zero delta you know, vision that we have if we're doing one game as an experiment for somebody or one episode as an experiment. You know, we need partners that are going to meet us halfway and say, do a season or do a whole series of games, because then, you know, we can't build you an iPhone for $300 if we're only building one. You know, you have to have the economy of scale. So scale is in our favor, but it requires the boldness of vision to do that. And then we can meet those. Then we can meet those numbers. That's a critical thing. I mean, everything that we're gearing toward now is doing 3D for the cost of 2D. Well, how do you do that? It's not so much a technology issue as it is a personnel issue. If every single 3D camera has got to have a 3D technician standing behind it somewhere in the chain, you're dead. You can't do it. You got 22 camera positions, that's 22 extra airfares. You know, if there's a guy pulling interocular and convergence and all that. So, you know, all of our technology is geared toward, you know, a 3D supervisor in an integrated 5D truck, mobile unit, and he's looking at 20 cameras. And the software is doing the work for him. He's looking at a single page. And when something comes up on one camera that looks like it needs a trim, needs a human in the loop to go in and cast an eye on it, well, he'll deal with that. I say he, it might be a she. We'll deal with that. We'll deal with that camera. So now you've got 20 cameras, one additional person. Now we're talking. Now we're getting close to that zero delta concept. But it requires a lot of technological development, which we've been doing over the last year at an almost logarithmic rate to be able to do that. And